Hello, my name is Keshwani. That's Keshwani, Keshwani. We are here because we want to prepare for TEAS. We have been solving TEAS math problems out of this book here, the TEAS Official Study Manual 2021. If you do not own this book already, purchase one immediately. You're going to need it. Today, we'll solve a couple of practice problems that you will find on page number 174. Turn to it. Turn to page number 174. Problem number 1 and 2, you will see there. We'll take care of those today. If at the end of the video you decide that you would like to work with me, that this was helpful and that you would like to help me, you would like me to help you to get ready for the exam, you can always get hold of me by sending me an email at keshwaniprep@icloud.com. Let's take a look at the first one. The first one says, problem number 1 says, employ unit rates to determine which is the better vacation deal. So apparently we are looking at two packages for vacation. One offers us some price of a package for 4 nights, and the other one gives us the option, perhaps it's a cruise for a 7 night. And we're trying to figure out which one is a better deal based on a per unit rate. So first one is here. It says $900 for 4 nights. Should we opt for that, or should we go for that? Line was not straight at all. I had to redraw it because I don't want anyone to find out that I'm thoroughly inebriated. The second option is $1,443 for 7 nights. Let's see what we can do here, shall we? So this one is quite straightforward. We have $9,000 for 4 nights. We don't want to find out for 4 nights. We want to figure out the price per night. That's what unit rate means. Unit rate means per 1 unit. We talked about it yesterday on day number 29. So let's divide top and bottom by 4. But we're not going to divide by 4 at once. Let's divide by 2 first. So if you divide 4 by 2, it becomes 2, and 900 divided by 2 will give 450. Or if you want to do it properly, this is how I would have done it. 900 divided by 2. We do 1 digit at a time. How many 2's does 9 have? 9 has 4 2's. 4 2's are 8. After we take away 8 from the 9, we have a remainder of 1. What happens to that 1? That 1 goes and joins a 0 and becomes a 10. And 10 has 5 2's. And this 0 here, this big fat 0, has no 2's. So we have divided top and bottom by 2. Let's divide by 450 by 2 one more time. Let's do one more time. Let's divide top and bottom by 2. We'll have 1 at the end that we wanted. 4 has 2 2's. 5 has 2 2's. After we take 2 2's are 4. After we take away 4 from the 5, we have a remainder of 1. And that 1 goes and joins this 0 and becomes a 10. And 10 has 5 2's. In other words, 450 divided by 2 is 225. Half of 450 is 225. There you go. We have our answer. It is $225 per night. That's the answer here. $225 per night. Now we have to figure out which deal is better. At this point, we have 2 options. Okay, listen very carefully. We have 2 options. One option is to actually take this quantity, 1,443 divided by 7, and simply compare the number and see which one is smaller. Another option is to ask ourselves, how much would the 7 night cost at this rate? And if it turns out that 7 nights at this rate is more than what they're actually charging us, then that's a good deal. That's a better deal. On the other hand, if 7 nights at this rate cost less than that one, then we'll stick with this one. This is a better deal. Let's find out. Just take the rate for this option and multiply by 7. Multiply by 7 and see what happens. 7 5s are 35. That's a 5. Carry 3. 2 7s are 14. 14 plus 3 is 17. Carry 1. 2 7s are 14 plus 1 is 15. $1,575. As you can see, this is clearly not a better deal, because at this rate, the 7 nights would have cost us $1,575, but it's not going to cost us $1,575. It gives an option. We can have 7 nights for only $1,443. $1,443. In other words, 2, 3. There you go. If you take a 7-night option, it'll be $132 cheaper at the unit rate of $225 per night. So that was one way of comparing it. This deal is a better deal. Other way to compare is to do the traditional work, is to simply divide 1443 by 7. And it is not as bad as you think. It is not as bad as you think. Let's divide it, shall we? How many 7 does 1 have? 1 has no 7s. What happens to that 1? 1 goes and joins a 4 and becomes a 14. And 14 has 2 7s, which is why we're crossing out 1 and the 4 together, to show the fact that we're doing them together. 14. We're not dividing 1 by 7, we're not dividing 4 by 7, it's 14. How many 7s does 4 have? This 4? It has no 4. It's too puny to have any 4s. Well, what happens to it? Oh, it goes to its neighbor and gangs up with it. Now we have 43. And 43 is not a multiple of 7, but 42 is. 42 is 7 times 6. 42 is, or rather 6 times 7 is 42. Because we know the 7 squared is 49. I hope you know your squares. 7 squared is 49. 7 times 7 is 49, which means if you had 1 fewer 7, it has to be 7 less than 49, which is 42. We have 43. So it's going to have 6 7s with the remainder of 1, which has to be divided by 7. There you go. Don't worry about that 1/7 of a dollar. Doesn't matter what the 1/7 of a dollar is. The point here is that in this package, each night costs us about $206 if you go with a package of 7 nights. Whereas with the original package of 4 nights, we found out that it was costing us $225 per night. So definitely this is a better deal. It's only $206. Let's do the next one. And that's the whole idea of unit rate. Let's do the next one. It says, which of the following, I'm going to erase all of this thing, we need the room. We are on page 174. Number 2, page 174. It says, which one of the following expresses unit rate? And what we need to do here is to look at the table that is given to us in the book, which I'm not going to put on the blackboard. There's the table there. Actually, it doesn't hurt actually to do it very quickly. I didn't do it in my notes. It says 3 is 1950. 7 is. I should have put in my notes in my notes, but I didn't. 7 is 4,550. 20 is 13,000. 22 is 14,300. So apparently somebody was keeping track of how many steps they walked, total number of steps over a course of one month. At the end of the 3rd day, they have walked 2,000 steps. At the end of the 7th day, they have walked 4,500 steps, so on and so forth. And the question is, which one of the following that they give us expresses the unit rate? The reason I'm making so much fuss about it is because we have to understand what's going on here in terms of the answer choices. First answer choice says 3 days over 1950 steps equals 0.002 day for one step. Why is this not the right answer? Essentially, what they're doing is 3 days, these are the days here, and these are the steps. In 3 days, we covered 1950 steps, and if you were to do out the math, 3 divided by 1950, you'll end up 1 at the bottom, because we're dividing top and bottom by 1950, and if we do that, 1950 divided by 1950 will become 1, and this quantity divided by 1950 would actually become 0.00, not exactly 2, but a little bit more, they're rounding it. The question is, why is this not right? It's not right because it is too damn silly. Nobody expresses based on what's going on here in the context of the problem. We are keeping track of how many steps we are walking every day, because we have started some exercise regime and during this month. And in that case, you're not going to tell somebody that it took me. Well, so how is your regime going? How is your exercise going? Oh, it's going quite well. It has taken me 0.002 day to do one step. That is too bloody silly. We need to have day at the bottom, not a step. We need to have the day. We need to know how many steps we're walking. We want to find out how many steps we are walking per day, not how many days it's taking us to walk one step. Do you understand? As impressive as it sounds, that's just not how we do it. B says the unit rate is 1950 steps per 3 days. We already established that A is not correct. What is wrong with B? What is wrong with answer choice B? Well, what is wrong with answer choice B is because this is not a unit rate. Unit rate means that the bottom has to be 1 unit, whatever that 1 unit is. 1 day, 1 hour, 1 kilogram, or whatever, 1 week, 1 month. It has to be 1. The unit has to be 1. 1 gallon, 1 milliliter, 1 liter. The bottom has to be expressed in 1 unit, which is why it's called unit rate. All they have done here is simply write down this as a ratio, 1950 steps per 3 days. They did not reduce it. This is not a unit rate, it is a rate. This is a rate, but it's not a unit rate. Let's look at C. Now before I completely forget about it, the reason I wrote down all of them here is because I want you to understand that we could have figured out unit rate by using any one of the entries. We can do 4,550 divided by 7 and reduce that, and that would give us unit rate, or we can divide 13,000 by 20, or divide this quantity by this quantity. Why are we using only this one, first one? There is no particular reason for it. The reason why we're using the first entry is because that's the only one that appears in the answer choices. That's all. None of the others will work here. It will be silly to try to work any other entry because they don't appear in the answer choices. Let's look at the second one. Second one says the unit rate is 650 steps per 1 day. There you go. That's our answer choice. What's wrong with D? D simply says that the unit rate is 650 over 1. What's wrong with D? It's the same quantity, 650 divided by 1, because here per day is same as per 1 day. Same thing, 650 divided by 1. That's exactly what we have here, 650 divided by 1. So why is D wrong? What's wrong with D? What is wrong with D is that there are no units. There are no units here. You must have units always. Otherwise it has no meaning. Do you understand? Doctor is not going to tell me take two per, that's it, per what? This per doesn't matter, per week, per day, per hour, I don't care. He's not going to say that. It's going to have a unit. If it's going to tell me to take two what? 2 tablets, 2 bottles, 2 gallons of it? It has to have a unit. Take 2 tablets per hour, or per day, or per week, or per lifetime. It has to have a unit. That's what's wrong with D. This is the right answer, 650 divided by 1. What we're going to do now is to actually figure out where this thing is coming from. 650 divided by 1. Apparently, when we divide 1950 by 3, we are supposed to get that. Let's see if we do that. Let's see if we do that. We're going to divide 1950 by 3. And we want to find out what do we get when we do that. Before we start the process, first thing we need to ask ourselves is, before we even bother with this, we have to ask ourselves, is 1950 even divisible by 3? And how do we know if a number is divisible by 3? Well, as long as the sum of the digits, sum of the digits is divisible by 3, we know the number itself is going to be divisible by 3. Here, one of the digits actually happens to be 9, so we don't have to worry about it. We know 9 is divisible by 3. We just have to look at the sum of the other 3 digits, 1 plus 5 plus 0. 1 plus 5 plus 0 is 6, so it's divisible by 3. Let's begin. How many 3's does 1 have? 1 has no 3's. What happens to that 1? 1 goes and joins the 9 and becomes a 19. And 19 has 6 3's. 6 3's are 18. After we take away 18 from the 19, we have a remainder of 1. What happens to that 1? That 1 goes and joins the 5 and it becomes a 15. And 15 has 5 3's. How many 3's does 0 have? 0 has no 3's. There you go. Voila. 650 steps per day. 650 steps per 1 day. That is correct. I want you to learn to do this long division like we did it here without having to do it like a baby, with the baby steps. You should be able to do it in your head. Let's do it one more time. 1950 divided by 3. Okay, watch what happens. How many 3's does 1 have? 1 has no 3's. 1 has no 3's. What happens to that 1? That 1 goes and joins the 9. You see, it joins the 9. It joins the 9. We're no longer looking at 1, we're looking at 19. And 19 has 6 3's. 6 3's are 18. After we take away 18 from the 19, we have a remainder of 1. What happens to that 1? That 1 goes and joins the 5. That 1 goes and joins the 5. It joins the 5 and becomes a 15. That 1 goes and joins the 5, it becomes a 15, and 15 has 5 3's. 15 has 5 3's. 5 3's are 15. And how many 3's does this 0 have? This 0 has no 3's. This 0 has no 3's. Voila. This 0 that we're going to bring down has no 3's. 650. That was the end of that thing. I'll see you tomorrow, where we'll continue with the problem number 3, 4 and 5 on the next page. Alright? If you wish to get hold of me, you can always send me an email at keshwaniprep@icloud.com. Bye now.